Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to come and listen to a wonderful presentation here at Parent University. So at this time, I want to introduce myself. My name is Miguel Benitez, and I'm the Director of Family Engagement for the Richardson Independent School District. And today, providing our session, Early Childhood Development, is Rachel Harris, who is our specialist. Rachel, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because I know you're presenting, but I also want to give a big shout out and a big, want to be able to present to you, one of the directors over early childhood. And we've got Ms. Deborah Cotton with us this evening. Thank you for joining us. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it right over to Deborah so she can introduce part of her team.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us, Miguel. Thank you for this invitation. We're happy to be part of Parent University. We are presenting here with Richardson ISD, specifically with the Family Literacy Center that is located at Dobie. And tonight we have our early childhood specialist, Rachel Harris, and she will be the one presenting. And then Esther used to be with us, and now she's with the grants department, but she knows a lot about the program too. So it's kind of a little bit of a reunion tonight. So thank you all for being here, and we appreciate you showing up tonight. And Miguel, thanks again. All right, Rachel, all you.
Okay. Good evening. I am going to share my screen with you today so you can see the slideshow. And if you have any questions, there will be a part at the end where we can answer the questions. So let me share my screen and we will get started. Let's see. Okay, so our Parent University topic today is early childhood development, and it's presented by myself. I am the RISD Family Literacy Center Early Childhood Specialist. Before we get started, I'll just say a little bit about myself. Okay, so I am the Early Childhood Specialist. I've had 17 plus years of early childhood experience in Head Start, kindergarten, pre-K. I was a curriculum specialist, a private preschool director. I also was a parent instructor for United Way Success by Six program that helps parents learn how to have meaningful play with their children with everyday materials at home. I also speak at statewide and regional conferences over various early childhood topics, and I am an Oklahoma native, and I am a University of Oklahoma graduate. Boomer Sooner. So, why is early childhood development? What is early childhood development? Early childhood development refers to the physical and psychological, cognitive, and social development that a child experiences between birth and school-going age. Why is it so important? I found a short film that explains it. I'll play it right now. Okay, so as you saw in the video, there's quite a bit of brain activity and development going on in those first 5 years that aren't included in most public school settings. So to get ahead of that, we have some suggestions for activities to do at home, and also some information on what domains there are in early childhood development. Okay, so there is 4 developmental domains. There's the cognitive, language, social, emotional, and physical development. We'll go through each one of these, talk about some common skills that are found there, and discuss how we can promote further learning at home and at school within these domains. So the first one is your cognitive domain, and this includes problem solving, memory, imagination, and creativity, critical thinking, reasoning, processing information, self-help skills, and attention span. So by the age of 3 in the cognitive domain of development, most children can match things that are alike. They can name some basic colors and shapes. They can point to big and little objects when asked. They can remember events and places. They can complete simple puzzles, and they can sort toys or other objects by one characteristic. For example, if they were given a bucket of big and small items, they could sort them by big and small, or a couple of different colors, they could sort them by colors. So how can we foster cognitive skills? How can we foster them through caregivers, and how can parents foster them as well? Limit screen time is one of those big ones on there. It's very important. Nothing is better than face-to-face interaction. And while there are some very wonderful educational things on technology, it doesn't replace those real quality, loving interactions. So limit screen time, allow for autonomy and independence. Let your child do things on his own that they are capable of. Expose your child to various creative outlets such as painting or dance, pretend play. Provide open-ended materials for plays. You can see in one of the pictures down at the bottom, this little guy is using a plastic container as a boat. And up here at the top, these are just simple cups that have been used to stack and create. That doesn't have to be anything expensive or pricey from a store. A lot of times they can do a lot of things with cardboard boxes. So making sure you have open-ended materials to promote cognitive development, and age-appropriate puzzles and games as well. Our next domain is the social emotional domain. In this area of brain development, there's self-confidence and esteem, the ability to express feelings and emotions, conflict resolution, empathy, interaction, following rules and social norms, collaboration, negotiation, and moral reasonings. So by the age of 3, with social emotional skills, most 3-year-old children can follow 3 to 5 simple rules. They can interact with other children. They're learning how to take turns and play. They're using words to express feelings. This is around the age where we see them try and comfort others that may be in distress as well. They are beginning to initiate their own play, make simple choices, and they often imitate adult behavior and activities. You'll see them feeding stuffed animals or pretending to cook or sweeping the floor. So these are some things that we can be looking for as far as average development by the age of 3. So how can we, as caregivers and parents, foster social emotional skills? Limit screen time. Look at that. So limit screen time. Discuss physical aspects of interpreting feelings. For example, point out that oh, I have tears, that means I'm sad. Or I see he's smiling, he must be happy. A lot of times they just need you to draw attention to those physical aspects that show how somebody feels. Also, acknowledge and name feelings and emphasize that all feelings are okay to feel. Sometimes kids don't think it's okay to be angry or sad. And it's good to reinforce that it is okay to be angry and it is okay to be sad. It is okay to be happy. We just have to manage our feelings in appropriate ways. Which brings me to teach coping techniques. Teach slow breathing, how to calm down, how to vocalize their feelings. I'm sad or I'm angry. Sometimes you can ask them, are you happy or sad? And try and give those choices to where they can help get that vocabulary to express their emotions. Make sure you're providing opportunities to socialize with other children and make sure that they have a little bit of time away from their parents, even if it's at a cousin's house or an aunt's house. Also, set up clear routines and share household responsibilities. Young kids can help out quite a bit around the house and they're very willing to. So find some things that they can do and get them involved in having part of a citizenship skill in your house. Okay, our third domain is the physical domain. So this is the development of gross motor using the large muscles like the arms and the legs. The physical domain also includes a child's strength and agility, balance, hand-eye coordination, and fine motor skills, using those really small muscles like the fingers and hands to manipulate objects. So by the age of 3, with the physical domain, most 3-year-old children can catch a large ball. They can jump up with both feet off the floor. They can balance on one foot. It doesn't have to be for a long time. It can be a short period of time. They can walk up and down stairs with alternating feet. When demonstrated, if you draw a vertical or horizontal line, they can copy that as well. They can draw that. They are beginning to hold a pencil with the thumb and fingers, not the full hand. They can snip with scissors. They may not be able to cut straight lines, but they are able to start snipping paper. They can screw and unscrew toys, jars, and doorknobs, and they can build a tower of at least 6 cubes. So what can we do to foster physical skills? Limit screen time. That's one of the ones that'll probably show up in every single one. Also, make sure that we are all providing plenty of opportunities to play outside. It doesn't have to be going to the park all the time. It can be riding bikes or swimming or just playing with a ball outside or walking your dogs, just some ways to get them to use those big muscles, those arms and legs. Also, allow your child to use scissors. I know it's kind of scary for parents to feel comfortable with their children using scissors. And of course, before you would introduce it, you would talk to them about what is appropriate to cut and what is not appropriate to cut. And always make sure that your child's supervised with that as well. That way they're not missing out on those critical fine motor skills that they need for school readiness. Also encourage those self-help skills that involve using their hands and fingers, buttons, zippers, using utensils like spoons and forks. Some other good things to develop fine motors would be Play-Doh. You can use the scissors with Play-Doh as well. If you're not ready to do paper yet, they can use the scissors with Play-Doh. Lacing, coloring. You can use kitchen tongs. You see on some of these pictures, they are everyday objects found around the house. This one little girl's pulling little cotton balls out of a whisk. And this little girl is hammering golf tees into a pumpkin. Just a lot of very easy things that you may have around the house that you can do. Okay, our last domain is language. So in the language domain, there is vocabulary, reading, communicating with others, written language skills, and oral language skills. So by the age of 3, most children in the language domain can follow 2-step directions. They can use plural words, pronouns, verbs, and past tense. They can start and carry on a short conversation. Just a back and forth talking can be small, very simple 4-word sentences. They can say more than 200 words, answer simple questions, asking where and why questions. I'm sure some of you are already getting those why questions quite a bit. I know around 2 or 3, they ask why about everything, but that's a good sign. Make sure that you are answering those back and acknowledging those questions. Also, they are understanding the actions and events in a simple story, and they're using intelligible words at least 75% of the time. Now, when they're 3, there still may be some words that strangers may not understand, and that's understandable, and that's completely developmentally appropriate, but they do need to be understood around 75% of the time. So how can we foster language skills? Limit screen time, introduce books at birth, and allow plenty of exposure for handling books. There was a research article that came out that said babies that chewed on those little board books, they associated that feeling with pleasure. So when they saw books in the future, they responded the same way as enjoying it whenever they teethed on it. So it's kind of putting books with a pleasing feeling. So just thought I'd share that little bit. Also, read. Don't just read the book, but make sure you're being interactive. You're asking questions, making predictions, asking them to recall things that happen in the story. Describe everything. There's no way to describe too much that's going on around. If you're at the grocery store, you can talk about every food item that you see, or what you're going to get, or what you're going to make with it. You can be talking all of the time, and those kids are taking in those words and building up that vocabulary all the time. Singing finger plays and nursery rhymes is also a good way to foster language skills. And also provide opportunities to use writing utensils, like crayons and markers, or paint brushes, pencils, anything that you feel comfortable with having your child use. Try and get those into their hands as soon as possible. So we've talked about early childhood development. So now we're going to talk about the resources that our RISD Family Literacy Center provides for early childhood. So the Family Literacy Center, like Debbie said, is located at Dobie, and we have quite a few components of our program. In the next slides, I'm going to get into each one of these a little more in depth and explain to you what it looks like, and who qualifies for it, and what the components are. So we have PAT. That's Parents as Teachers. We have our HIPPY program, which is home instruction for parents of preschool youngsters. We also offer ESL classes. We have our early childhood program. We offer parenting classes, and we have PACT, which is parent and child together time. So the first one we'll look at is PAT. The qualifications for a PAT parent or to be part of the program is that you need to live in the RISD attendance area. You have a child between the ages of 0 and 4. You as a parent are an ELL, an English language learner, or you meet the free and reduced lunch eligibility guidelines. You don't have to be both. You can be either or both. So PAT's program goals are to increase parent knowledge of early childhood development, prevent child abuse and neglect, improve parenting practices, increasing children's school readiness and success, and provide early detection of developmental delays and health issues. PAT also helps improve the health and well-being of families and children. This picture is of one of our PAT instructors at home with a mom and her child reading a book together and working through the activity that she brought. The components of PAT, there's monthly home visits. They're 1 to 2 times monthly. Currently, they're virtual. Our home visitors are not going into the house, but when they do, it is 1 to 2 times a month. The lessons are individualized according to your family's needs. There's also group connections where you can meet up with other PAT families, and there are resource referrals. For example, if you need help with your electric bill, we can find resources. If you're concerned about your child's speech, we can refer you to somebody. It's an overall family comprehensive development to help you grow, your child grow, and to have them be successful. So let's look at our HIPPY program. So the qualifications for HIPPY are very similar to the ones in PAT, except the age is a little different. So you have to live in the RISD attendance area. For HIPPY, your child is between the ages of 3 and 5. A lot of parents do PAT and then go right into HIPPY once their child is of age. You, as a parent, need to be an English language learner or meet free and reduced lunch eligibility guidelines. So HIPPY improves child outcomes by supporting parents in their role as a child's first teacher. It empowers parents with the skills, tools, and confidence necessary to work with their children at home. And it also helps improve school readiness, parent involvement, school attendance, classroom behavior, and academic achievement. A lot of times parents want to help their children and want to teach them, but they don't know the exact way or the best way to do it. And HIPPY comes in to the house with some really wonderful ideas to do with your children that they absolutely enjoy doing as well. So it makes learning fun and it doesn't make it so difficult or tedious. So here's the program components of HIPPY. HIPPY has 3 different years. It has the first year is for ages 3, the second year is for ages 4, and the third year is for ages 5. So you have weekly home visits for ages 3 and 4. There's a 30-week program. You have, for age 5, you have 9 group meetings, and they are done, lessons are done once a month. You also have monthly group meetings for all of them, and field trips for parents and children to the Dallas Museum of Art, the Arboretum, and the Perot Museum. And they have so much fun doing that. We went last year to the Perot Museum and the Arboretum, and it was so much fun to see how excited those kids were to see each other and to learn. HIPPY also provides resource referrals, and it is where PAT is an individualized curriculum, HIPPY is a set curriculum for each age group covering literacy, math, science, motor skills, and language at that developmental age level. Okay, another component of our family literacy program for Richardson is our ESL classes. So your qualifications, you have to reside in the RISD attendance area, and English is your second language. You have to have the ability to attend classes 4 mornings a week from 8:15 to 11:15. And also priority is given to adult students that have children that qualify for our EC program as well. So if you have a child that's 0 to 3 and you would want to take ESL classes, you have priority over some of the families that may not have children that come to that are of age to come to the program as well. So there's 3 different levels of our ESL. There's a level 1, level 2, and level 3. I know that they do evaluations or assessments to place you in the appropriate level. There's parenting classes with myself, the EC specialist. I give parenting classes over some of the same topics every year, but I like to make sure that I'm meeting the parents' needs. So I take parent input on what we can discuss and what we can look into. We also have time that you get to come into your child's classroom, and I introduce some activities in the classroom that you can do at home with your child, and it's a lot of fun for the parents and the kids to be in the classroom and complete activities together. There's also field trips to a variety of places so you can practice English. You go to libraries, network community of ministries, local grocery store to practice some of those conversational skills. Our ESL classes also have guest speakers from the Catholic Charities and the Dallas Library, the Genesis Women's Shelter, and our ESL classes also help teach basic computer skills. Here's some lovely pictures of our ESL students going on field trips, working in the computer lab, and pre-COVID, so all of these are working in the classroom. Last is our early childhood program component. Our early childhood program has 2 classrooms. There's an infant toddler classroom, and then there's a classroom for 2s and 3s. It's taught by a degree teacher, myself, and well-experienced co-teachers who also happen to be the HIPPY and the PAT instructors. So your child will be seeing, if you do HIPPY or PAT, your child will be seeing their home instructor at school, and they can see them at home as well. Like I said, we have monthly parent meetings, and your qualifications is the child has to have a parent enrolled in our adult ELL classes, and the child needs to be 3 or younger at the beginning of school year. I just put some fun pictures down here of what the kids enjoy doing at school. We do cooking. One of the second one down here is when the parents got to come to class and work with their children, and so is this third one. So we have a good time there. Okay, I am ready for questions. Any questions?
Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you.
Gosh, that is a lot of great information. And so I really, one of the things that I think about is about the foundations, right? So, they start when they're babies, and we have to do everything to prepare them for student success. And so, I'm so, it's just wonderful to hear, what we're doing here in the RISD to help, our families, through some of this. So it's really just a wonderful, wonderful, presentation.
Thank you.
To hear
Thank
this.
you.
So,
when we were doing this, Debbie and I were talking about, so some of the programs we have may not be applicable to everybody, and parents may say, well, I don't qualify for any of those programs. What can I do? So I have included on here as well some extra resources that I found were really good. There's some helpful information sites about more information on early childhood development. And there's also some really good websites for parent and child activities. I use these quite a bit myself. There's a lot of moms and dads that stay at home and work with their kids, and they have amazing websites and blogs that they put wonderful activities on. And these are some of the ones I use quite often. So I wanted to include that.
Wonderful. Maybe we can share those before our participants leave.
Yes.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, because we're all, I think about my little girl, my little boy, who, as you were speaking to some of the developmental stages, I saw that, I was trying to find a picture in my phone when she's asking why, or what, and so it's really, and she was, right at 3, and she's picking up a magnet, or she's looking at it, and, she's doing those things. So It's one of the things that I think this is so important because, when we talk about student success, we're forming those foundations because, they're gonna move into to elementary, and that's gonna be a transition, and we have to continue to build a strong foundation for them, because then of course after that we've got middle school, we've got high school, and everything is dependent on all the work that we're doing now.
So true.
So it's just it's just great to hear. I mean, it's great to hear. Like I said, I when I work with my kids at home, I sit them down. They play. They can do things in a creative way.
Yes.
But it's great to hear these ideas and strategies. Different types of ways to help our children. So that's great to hear.
I do have a question. Well, more of how does you mentioned that you have visits, and now that they are right now because of COVID, they're done online.
Mhm.
And how does that feel? How do the kids feel? Because I know my toddler just started daycare again, only 3 times a week. So I'm like, I was very like, no, please stay home. But I did finally send him, and he's been doing great. Like, he changed his mood 100% from being a crabby tantrums and everything, throwing everything on the floor, to just being a happy kid. So you mentioned that they're doing that online, and it made me wonder, how is it affecting kids?
How's it going? Debbie, I know that Debbie's seen some more of that than I have. Do you want to answer that question?
Sure. I think obviously the face-to-face is easier, it's better, right? I mean, which is that human connection is easier to make. But we have seen a lot of success, and part of it is when we are doing those visits virtually, it's with the parent and the child together. So there's something I think about that that's unique. And for Hippie, for example, they are every week for 30 weeks. So you do start to form those connections. It's a little harder, but it happens. Pat is, once or twice a month, so that might take a little more time. It's been challenging a lot. It has been challenging. But I mean, the kids, when they get on and they see their home instructor, they stick their face right up to the camera. They take the phone or the video with them. They're still talking when you're leaving the meeting. So I think kids kind of are resilient, even at this young age. They know screens, for better or for worse. So, it's done in a manner that is at their level and it's appropriate, and we follow their lead. And I think that's really key. We have a lesson, but if the kid takes it in a different direction, we follow their lead. And that's part of why I think it's been successful. And we know a 2 and 3, and we have 18-month-olds, so they're going to do what they're going to do, and we adapt. But hasn't been easy all the time, but I would say it's been successful. And Rachel, you could probably speak to a little bit about that, because you did your classroom online. We are back at the center in small groups now, which is awesome. But for the first 6 months, 7, you were virtually teaching your toddlers and your 3-year-old. So I'll let you speak a little bit to that.
Yes. So like Debbie said, we did start out the first 9 weeks with all virtual. Along with the virtual, I sent home packets. I made different activities for the kiddos to do as well that would fit with the developmental standards. And we still have some children that are virtual. And on Fridays, if you're coming to our class or you're virtual, we have a group time. And it, like Debbie said, it's toddlers all the way through 4 years old. And they are so excited to come and see all of their friends. In fact, the kids that started virtual and then came to school, it was like they were more comfortable with me because they had seen me on TV. They thought I was like a superstar. And so we had one crying, but as soon as he saw me, he's like, oh, she's on TV. I know her. And so I almost feel like it makes them feel more comfortable to smile and speak up and actually wave to their friends. It's been a really nice progression to see that. And they, I tell their parents, you don't strap them down in a high chair or anything. If they're ready to get up and walk around, or if they walk and listen, then that's great too. And so, like she said, we just go with the flow.
Congratulations, because that is amazing. The way you adapted, it deserves all the respect in the world. Because the kids are so small. I try to do it with when we were in lockdown, and it was impossible with one kid. I can't imagine with just a bunch of kids. Congratulations, lady.
It's quite a show that I put on. That's what I feel like.
That's right. So, but there's been some good takeaways. So yeah, we all learned some good things too. Absolutely. That's for sure. But thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. I keep coming back to this. I keep coming back to, all this wonderful learning, this process, right? Because we're getting them ready to move to the next level. And that's, it's those grade levels. And so I think that, as when parents look at this, or when they take this presentation, they really got to think about, what they're setting their kids up for. Of course, we're ultimately student success, but it's in stages, it's in grade levels, semesters. You can break it down in many ways, but I feel like there's we help our kids learn because we want them to be smart, because we want them to excel. But I think at the end of the day, it's setting up a little bit at a time those foundations, and moving them through in a successful way. And so I'm thinking about the question and really how to put it together. But do you guys, in your research, have you found where, when kids are involved like this, what the success rates are as they get older? Do you guys have anything to share about that?
I would just say, like, for Hippie and Pat, those are evidence-based programs, and you can go on their website and they can give you tons of data points. I would just say, like, kind of on a not so specific level, in the school itself, we have the feedback of that child's first teacher, often like their big school teacher. Rachel's their teacher, but so when they're going into, now 3-year-old pre-K, but in the past 4-year-old pre-K and kindergarten at Dobie, we have teachers every year saying, please send us your kids, and we don't have any control over who their teacher is going to be, but they know when that child walks in the classroom, if they've been in Rachel's room, if they've been in home visitation, you can tell the difference right away. They're already ready to go. So yes, you can look up data, and that's so important, but just having that personalized feedback year after year, we know firsthand, and we get to watch them in pre-K and used to be kindergarten and just see how successful they are. So a little bit yes to your question, I guess.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. We wouldn't have these programs if they weren't successful, and if they weren't needed. So I'm 100%. I agree with you that it's watching that the success build. You're watching success.
Continue, like you said, right?
Yeah. So I just I think it's wonderful. I just want to emphasize and really just continue to let our parents know who have children now that this is so important, and this is where it starts, and this is the beginning. As we move.
I might suggest something and put Esther on the spot. And Esther, sorry, but Esther actually was part of the program before she became an employee in the program. And she had children in both of the home visitation programs. So I don't know, Esther, if you're comfortable, but you might speak as from the parent perspective about, you know, how that was for you and what benefits you saw from that for both as a parent maybe and for your kiddos.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and pull her into the conversation. I'm going to end the interpretation for her. Esther, can you hear us? Testing 1, 2, 3. Esther, can you hear?
Uh-oh, she's gone.
Let me try it again and see if I can. Esther, can you test?
Okay.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I say it in English or Spanish?
Both.
Both. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I remember that I went to the family center because I wanted my daughter to learn English. And then Miss Debbie was my PAT instructor. And yeah, I notices the change, how my daughter now has the foundations that I gave her with Hippie, with PAT, with every little thing that this program has. Now, the way she sees education is totally different. She's very based on, I have to concentrate. I have to read because this will give me the opportunity to grow. And she's doing the same with my nieces and nephews. She reads since they were little. She will get books and then start reading because she remembers that was what we taught her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I will suggest every parent to take an opportunity and take their kids to this lovely program.
And tell them how old she is now, Esther.
She's almost 15.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So,
and I guess she will be a teacher. She was between pediatrician and teacher. So she's been one of them.
same thing sometimes.
That's right. Taking care of little ones, or maybe not so little ones. But that's awesome. Thank you, Esther. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. You know, I think about what you guys just presented on and talking about early childhood, and I think about the 15-year-old. And one thing that I like to share with our families is that as a, you know, I'm currently a certified juvenile probation a juvenile supervisions officer. Mm-hmm. And we see what I see from 10 to 17 here in Texas, you can get arrested, you can go to detention. But I see what the lack of foundation sometimes can bring. And so I just think, you know, we've got a young lady who had great foundations now thinking about becoming a teacher, you know, a doctor. I mean, this is how we want our children to, you know, process things and to think about their future. Maybe not, you know, some kids will, you know, be, you know, have a wonderful trade, but we want them to think. We want them to think and envision the future and, you know, want those good things. So I just think of how important. So Esther, gracias. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it just, you know, validates why we do what we do. And, you know, having a parent like you who, you know, not only takes what is being taught and applies it to, you know, their life with their children, you know, does make a difference. Mm-hmm. And so that's wonderful to hear.
That's right.
And they will remember.
Yes.
Because she remembers going to the family center and then the activities and her hippie books, because at the end of the year, they will get the hippie activities they did through the year.
Yes.
In a little book. And she still has hers. Aww. And she will go back and, oh, this is the way I wrote my name when I was 3, when I was 4, when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got about 10 minutes. Are there any closing remarks that you, Debbie or Rachel, that you want to give our families?
I have the screen, the slide of the resources, and I also have a slide of our contact information and where to find us on the website and where to find us on Facebook as well.
Wonderful.
Would you like for me to share those?
Please. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so let me see. So here's the one for the more information on how to find us on Facebook. But you can find us through Facebook, but you can also go to the RISD website link and go to our web RISD, then Parent Corner, then click on additional resources. And then you click on Parent Education Programming, and it'll lead you to us as well. There's Debbie's contact information and phone number, and mine as well. We'd be more than happy to take questions and give any information we can. It's a wonderful program.
Rachel, thank you for that wonderful presentation.
My pleasure.
Debbie, thank you for joining us in support. I really appreciate that. Esther, thank you for interpreting. And Parent, thank you for attending today. So I wanted to navigate that to the website, but the way that you can access it is by simply typing in www.RISD.org/PARENTCORNER, Parent Corner. And when you type that into your search engine and you hit enter, it's going to take you right to Parent Corner. You will navigate to the Parent University tab, and that's going to open up the sessions. And if you scroll down, you'll see all the video sessions that have been recorded and available for you to view. We have many wonderful sessions that you can view. So this will be part of that as well. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this evening. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.